Well, hello and welcome to the Project of the Month number 33. I'm Marty Sandell. I'm happy to be with you today. I happen to be a Floriani National Educator, and of course Floriani is a division of R&K Distributing. Our project this month is called Falling Leaves and Twirling Pumpkins. It's a placemat that stitches quickly and is very easy to assemble. Let's take a look at what you're going to learn in the software portion of this lesson. You'll learn how to use the Applique shape tool. There will be special tricks when breaking up the path of an applique, and how to use each one of the rotation tools, how to print and use a placement template, and how to create your own applique pattern pieces so you will never need to trim fabric in the hoop again. We begin by gathering our supplies, and among them some Floriani Products, template tearaway, new embroidery batting or quilted soft batting, polyester or bamboo and cotton, Appli-Kay Wonder printable sheets, the new 1/4 inch wide Appli-Kay Wonder tape, and new Floriani chrome needles, Floriani polyester threads to match your Applique fabric selection, waltz press cloth, and of course the software. I have chosen to demonstrate with the Floriani Total Control Professional, but you may use the Floriani Embroidery Suite as well. You notice on this page we have a number of things marked new, and I want to make a comment about each one of them. The embroidery batting is brand new, and it has been designed as a densely needle punched batting. It is a low loft bat and is designed to hold a minimum of 60,000 stitches in a single hooping. This is an amazingly soft bat because you will never need to use additional stabilizer when you use this batting with your embroidery. A higher loft bat, of course, is the quilted soft batting. The polyester bat is lovely and soft. It too is needle punched, as well as the bamboo and cotton bat. I have chosen to use the bamboo and cotton bat in my project simply because I like the sustainability properties to this batting. The 1/4 inch wide Applique Wonder tape is a new width for us. It's going to come in a lovely box packaged with an illustration on the back. So be on the lookout for the new packaging for all of our tapes. But the 1/4 inch wide Applique Wonder tape is the result of the many requests that we've had from you, the consumer. The new Floriani chrome needles are made for us by Schmetz. These needles, as I mentioned, come in a wide variety of types and sizes suitable for every application of your sewing, whether you're a sewer, a quilter, or an embroiderer. These needles are an extremely strong needle and will last 2.5 times longer than the needles that you're accustomed to using. The chrome needle also is a needle that will stay relatively cool, unlike the needles that you presently use that tend to heat up as your machine speed increases. That means that those of you that have not used the Floriani thread and have experienced shredding and breakage, these chrome needles will help to eliminate that with threads that have created a problem for you. But of course you can eliminate all that by using the Floriani thread. Fabrics for the placemat, I chose a neutral background, orange and green fabric for the pumpkins and leaves. And for my border fabrics, I selected a dark green, a multicolored print, a dark brown. And the lining from any one of the above will be suitable for your placemat. Other supplies needed include a rotary cutter, a cutting mat, soluble marker, embroidery snips, and applique scissors. My embroidery snips and applique scissors are part of Walt's toolkit, which contains 5 wonderful scissors for all of your quilting and embroidery needs. Be sure to take a look at the kit before you leave the store today because I simply cannot do without it. We'll begin by cutting our strips, the background and the batting. Our strips are cut across the fabric width, a 1.5 inch width for the dark green, a 1 1/4 inch width for the multicolored, and 2 strips of the dark brown, a narrow strip of 1.5 inches and a wider strip at 3 inches. Cut your background fabric into a 12-inch square and cut your batting into an 18-inch square. We have provided an applique pattern in a PDF format for your convenience. Print this applique pattern onto the Applique Wonder Sheet so that the printing is on the paper side of the sheet. You will then cut beyond the printed line and fuse it to the wrong side of the fabric as shown here. Once you have fused the fabric, you can then fussy cut the applique leaves and pumpkins as shown. I cut these out right along the line and so that I have a nice crisp edge when using them with my appliques. Print also your template. The template is available in the files with this lesson in a PDF format. This template will be adhered to the center of the 12-inch square background fabric. Center the background fabric onto the batting and then hoop the fabric and batting together. As you hoop, be sure that the vertical and horizontal crosshair markings align perfectly with those marked on the hoop itself. And now it's time to embroider. Transfer the embroidery file in the format that you use for your machine, using the method that you're accustomed to using. Once the file is open, use your jog keys to match up the center so that the needle drop falls exactly in the center of the crosshairs as shown. Be sure to remove your template before stitching. The pumpkin placemat lines will be the first to stitch. Remove the paper backing on the pumpkins and place them within those placement lines. Once they are placed in the placement lines, your tack down line will stitch, and then the final edge stitching of a blanket stitch or an E-stitch will complete the pumpkin appliques. Here is the step that you use. You notice step number 1, I've fussy cut the pumpkins. Step number 2, I've released the paper backing. And step number 3, I have placed that within the placement line in the hoop, ready to stitch the pumpkins in order. Use your needle up-down to pull the bobbin thread to the surface before you begin stitching. Notice here that I'm holding the upper thread and the bobbin thread as I begin to stitch the tack down line. This will eliminate any nesting of thread on the underside as I begin to stitch. Once you've stitched a few stitches, stop and trim those threads. We will add the leaves in the exact same manner as we did the pumpkins. You'll repeat that applique process as these leaves are added. Notice in the slide that the tack down line is currently being stitched. These leaves have been added to the placement line. Once the tack down line has been stitched, each leaf will be completed with a satin stitch border along the edge. By using the 2 different types of borders, you add some dimension to your finished block. The final stitching is done with the twirling wheat in the center. This stitches very quickly. Now it's time to add the borders. First, remove the fabric and batting from the hoop. Use your soluble marker to mark a 1.5 inch border line beyond the edge of the pumpkins on all 4 sides. press the dark green strip in half. This will result in a 3/4 inch strip, and these strips will first be added to all 4 sides of the pumpkin. Add the green strips first to all 4 sides. We will always add the strips on the top and then the bottom, and then the sides will be stitched last. In the case of the green strips, you want to place the raw edges against the lines that you've marked and pin in place. Add the multicolored strips next. The multicolored strips are added with the right sides facing the green so that the raw edges are even. The 2 strips will be sewn together at the same time. Begin by placing the top strip first, stitching, and then folding it back and pinning it in place as shown. If you look at the lower left-hand corner, you will see that that lower strip has also been stitched to the green and then pressed backward. This will be pinned in place, and then the final side strips will be stitched in the same manner, flipping the strips back onto the fabric. And the final strips to be added will be the 4 brown strips. The top and bottom strips are the narrow strips. Align the raw edge once again to that of the multicolored strip and stitch a 1/4 inch seam, flipping the strip backward over the raw edge. Then add the 2 side strips in the same manner. When you have finished, the strips will appear like this in the slide. Machine baste an 1/8 inch inside the outer edge of the batting. Use this basting line as a guideline for trimming away the excess batting. At this time, it is important to square off your corners so that you have a perfectly square placemat. Turn the placemat over and place the right side onto the lining fabric. Pin the edges together and trim away the excess lining. This will trim the lining to the exact size of the placemat. Now it's time to sew it all together. Mark a 4-inch opening onto the batting at the center bottom as shown. Cut a 4-inch strip of 1/4 inch Applique Wonder tape. Fuse this piece of tape to the right side of the lining edge between the markings as shown. Pin the edges together and stitch a 1/4 inch seam around the outer edge. Be sure to leave a 4-inch opening at the center bottom where you've positioned the tape. Clip off the tip of each corner so that you can turn it through the opening and use a little tool to bring the corners out to a nice sharp point. Then remove the paper backing from the tape. This will expose a tacky surface. Close the opening by turning in the seam line on both edges and then fusing the tape on the lining edge to the seam line on the top fabric as shown. And guess what? You did it! As you enjoy your holiday table setting, my wish for you is that your blessings be abundant and that you never know hunger. Thank you for coming and joining me today for this project. I look forward to being with you in future projects of the month. Happy holidays!